Hey, readers and writers.
Welcome to episode 102 of Read and Write, where we're going to talk about.
New projects.
I'm Jocelyn.
I'm Deb, and this is our podcast about what we're reading
What we're writing.
and everything else in between.
Deb, how you been?
Oy, it's been a week.
It's always every week.
I know. Every
week.
week, and we're basically still my household. It's myself, my husband, and my two toddlers. We have basically not broken lockdown. Like, we work from home, the kids preschool from home. We live in this little bubble, and we have since January 2020. So every week is a week in lockdown. I mean, oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Oh, we recently bought a fire pit. We have a very small backyard, but with the fire pit and with the fact that most of our friends and ourselves included are most of the way vaccinated, we are now allowing people to come over for distanced fire pit evenings.
Distance marshmallow time.
Yeah, and the gift of that to my mental health has been really lovely.
We still haven't done that. We, by the way, a fire pit and toddlers is a scary situation.
That's a nightmare.
Yeah. No, we actually broke out the fire pit. We had a really nice day a couple weeks ago, and we broke it out, and we did marshmallows and movie outside. It was awesome. And then the next day was like 43 or something.
Oh, I know.
But we still haven't really broken our bubble. Like, we've gone to the vaccination site, and my husband and I, we got our first vaccines, but that was the most really we've done. Occasionally we go to the grocery store, but we're turning to good old hermits these days.
So have you read or watched anything that's kept you company while in a severe lockdown?
You know, I started a really ambitious project a little while back of watching all of the Avengers movies in chronological order. Not the order that they were released, but the order that the stories happen in chronological order. And right now, I am trying to get through the Age of Ultron.
I never even touched it. I was like, no, thank you, ma'am.
Well, my husband and I, we like Marvel movies. They're fun. We usually we used to go to the theaters to see them. And we went to the theater, we saw this, and I don't remember thinking it was bad. And I'm not saying the movie's bad. I'm just saying I think I might be burnt out on Marvel movies. I'm trying. Like, I've tried it twice now to get started, and I'm not even like a half hour in. I'm just, no, I can't do this. Yeah. And then I pull up some fan fiction, some Marvel fan fiction. Ironically, Marvel fan fiction. I was like, I was sitting next to my husband and I was trying to watch. He's like, you know what? I would rather read my Avengers fan fiction than watch this movie. Nothing against the movie. I think I'm burnt out of sitting there staring at a movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that can definitely happen. When you watch too many, when you're staring at a screen for too long, and it happens when you're reading too. You know, if you do one activity for too long, it can just be too much.
I've never experienced it with reading. Just to put that out there. I've never gotten reading burnout.
Oh, I get it rarely.
Have I mentioned I have two toddlers and it's hard to find time to read?
That's true, yeah. You don't hit critical mass as often. Well, if you're looking for something to kind of break things up, something that I've been really loving lately is the Ted Lasso show on Apple TV. Oh, yeah? And it stars Jason Sudeikis, and it is just... It's in that family of very kind TV shows, you know, kind of like Schitt's Creek or The Good Place. Everyone in it is just, they're just nice. Even when they're mean, they're nice. Even when they're like trying to ruin other people's lives, it's like not that big of a deal.
It's still heartwarming somehow.
Yeah. Oh man, it is just like a warm blanket. It really soothes the soul. And they're like quick, I think, half-hour episodes. And I think season 2 is coming out this summer. So quick plug for that. If anybody needs something to make them feel happy and alive, I highly recommend Ted Lasso on Apple TV.
Nice. I will, I don't know, add that to my TV. My TV list is much longer than my book list because I'm not a big TV watcher. I don't know what's up with me. Like, my husband, that's how he unwinds. He likes to watch some TV, or, you know, we both play video games, but his main unwind is watching TV after work. I can't do it. Like, I like my books. I have no problem sitting next to him reading a book while he's watching TV. Like, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not a big TV watcher, so my list of things people keep telling me I need to watch on TV just grows bigger and bigger and bigger because it takes me long to get through them.
I totally sympathize.
I'm also a chronic first season person.
Oh, yeah.
Our podcast is definitely about stories. I love stories, but I usually stop watching after the first season.
Interesting. We'll have to get into that sometime because I bet there might be a correlation between first seasons and first books in a series kind of deal. Possibly. That might be an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah. Usually it's I like for the characters where they are. And I'm so afraid they're going to F that up in the second season that I can't bear to watch them in the second season make a bad decision.
I get that totally.
So that's what I do. And I actually do that sometimes in the middle of a TV show. Oh, no. I can see where this is going. They're going to do something really stupid, and I stop watching.
Oh,
because I can't bear to watch them.
It's self-preservation. Yeah.
It sounds so dumb saying it out loud, but that's the way my brain operates.
No one can tell you how to consume your media. That's all up to you.
Yep.
So today's topic, we're going to chat about starting new projects, which we thought we were super clever to talk about this because we are starting a new project with this podcast.
And you're starting new short stories, and I'm technically still starting 3 novels.
Of course. Always starting 3 novels.
Because they're not done yet. I guess that means I'm starting them all the time.
Constantly. So I don't know, how do you feel what gets you to start something new? Is, do you really have to force yourself, or?
Oh no, I get plot bunnies all the damn time. Mm-hmm. I've gotten to the point where I buy little tiny mini craft notebooks. These things are 3 by 4 and maybe 15 pages or something, and I write down the plot bunny and I throw it in the drawer.
Yeah, so you don't forget, but it doesn't consume you anymore.
It gets it out of my system. I have no problems. I have 3 novels going. I have no problem starting new projects.
Clearly. You're just a machine. It's amazing. So, yeah, I'm the same. I'll get plot bunnies, and I feel sometimes I get overwhelmed with this idea, and I'm like, that's it. That's what I want to write. And I sit down and I get going, and I've mentioned before, I'm definitely a pantser. So if I feel inspired, if I'm feeling motivated, I just go with it. I just sit down and let whatever is inside come out. And then when I come up for air, however long after, I'll start to examine the damage and see what I've done. And then usually, I try to allow myself a lot of freedom in the beginning of starting new projects. And I'm specifically talking about writing projects here.
Right. We're not talking about painting the bathroom.
No. Oh, no.
Which, by the way, I randomly did one day. I was I hate the color of the master bathroom, and I just painted the whole damn thing.
I thought my husband came down in Julia Roberts rom-coms.
Nope. My husband came down at 11 o'clock in the morning. The kids were with me. They were helping. He's like, what the hell are you guys doing down here? I'm like, I'm painting the bathroom. He was like, okay. And then he slowly backed away.
Oh, I love that energy so much. I love it. And that's the energy that I take into new projects a lot of the time. I've learned about myself that I really am someone who likes to just jump into things. Usually when it's a project for work or the house or something like this podcast, I will plan a lot more. I will do my research and do my due diligence. But when it comes to creative work, I try really hard to let go of that because that's so much of the rest of my life, and my anxiety really kind of dictates that.
Right.
And so creative work kind of will allow me to
it's
let
a relaxation.
Go of that. Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm doing something new, I just let it all go, let it all out. I ride that excitement, ride the wave, and I just get kind of high off of it, emotionally pumped up. It feels amazing. And then once I get a first draft, or at least a solid chunk, depending on what the project is, if it's going to be novel length, then I probably won't write the entire first draft like this. I'll probably stop and start some planning eventually. But for short stories or even scripts, I'll just go for it, and then I'll examine it afterwards. And it's really in the revision where things tighten up and where I might actually retroactively start an outline or think more about like character development and things like that. So I don't know if I'd even call, if I'm starting a new writing project, I don't even know if I would call that first draft a first draft. It might be more like a 0.5, you know, because I'm really just trying to get to the emotion of it.
It's the beta version.
From there. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that. I used to like, well, since I have my 3 main projects that I like to work on, and I get plot bunnies, it feels like all the time, like just, I don't know, random things happen or you just think of something. I like to get the plot bunny out, like down on paper, so I can stop thinking about it.
Yes, definitely.
And one time, several years ago now, I had this amazing idea. Retroactively, it was not an amazing idea. Like,
but you were feeling it at the time.
At the time, it was great, but in retrospect, it sucked. Okay,
I cannot even tell you how many of those.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, we all look back at our notes and we're like, oh, what the hell was that even talking about here?
So I had what I thought was an amazing idea. It involved werewolves and this remote farm.
I mean, that sounds good to me.
Yeah. I mean, on the surface, yes, it does. And I spent literally all night writing. Like, I didn't go to bed till the sun was coming up, and I had to go to work the next morning.
Wow.
Just filling up this notebook. And then the next day, I went back and I read it. I'm like, this is a piece of crap. And it wasn't just that I was, like, writing, like, in the fuel. Like, I thought I had to write the whole thing out, and I did. And it got it out of my system. It was a really bad decision on my part to stay up all night and then have to go to work afterwards.
Yes, that's always painful.
Yeah. Oh man. But eventually you get like a 17th wind and you're good, and you're going, and everything's fine. But yeah, I remember being really proud that I did that too at the time. And like, look at all this stuff I wrote. Why can't I write like this when I'm working on my novels?
Oh, I know.
And then I look back at it and I'm like, nope. This is just, this is not worth it.
Yeah, no, it did not work out. So did you learn anything from that experience? Like, do you feel that impulse to do that again? And if so, do you rein yourself in and try to take a different approach?
Since then, I've had 2 kids. I don't stay up all night anymore. Like,
absolutely not.
I had to do that when they were like babies, and I cannot do that anymore. Like,
no.
I'm the type of person that goes to bed at like 9 o'clock at night.
Yes, same.
I mean, that just isn't who I am anymore. But yeah, I think, did I learn anything from that other than it was just a really stupid decision to do that on a work night? I can't really say I did learn anything bad from that other than just maybe yes. Maybe I'll say I did learn something good of that, because that is when I started condensing to these little tiny micro notebooks.
Okay.
And just getting the bare bones ideas down, like who the main characters are, what the main plot area is, what is this little scene that caught my idea, and not the whole goddamn story.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, because I feel like for the longest time, the impulse to write was just like not there for me for many reasons. And I just wasn't feeling inspired or motivated. And then recently I started to get that old familiar feeling every once in a while where I'd have an idea.
Isn't it?
Oh, it feels so good. It feels so good. And it feels like coming home too, which is like, honestly, if I think about it too much, it will make me cry. Like, I'm feeling a little emotional right now, but I will just, and I will preface this by saying I don't have children, and I have like a little bit more flexibility when it comes to just how I move about my space and my life because of that. But I will just sit down and start writing. And I'm not sure, like, I get stuff on the page, you know, when that happens. And like I said, I ride the wave of my inspiration and my energy. But I'm wondering, and this is also kind of like a question for you. When you are looking to start something new, or when you're in the earlier process of a new project, do you structure the time or the physical space that you're writing in? Do you kind of like prepare yourself for a writing session And if you feel that familiar, lovely feeling, like let's say earlier in the day, and you're like, I really want to write, do you then like hold off for one reason or another? You know, we have jobs, we have things that have to get done, but do you like hold off and wait until you can prep your space and your time? Or do you find yourself like trying to start right away or wishing you could start right away?
I don't know. I'm anal in the fact that I always have to prep my writing space. Like,
okay,
I need the notebook in a certain position. I need the pencils in a certain position. I'm not like super OCD about it, but I basically need a clean workspace, but I need my tools within reach, which means decluttering, getting the toys off my desk that the kids have piled there up there or something.
Yes.
I keep coming back to the kids, but it is a big deterrent when you're trying to write something.
A huge part of your life.
And it's gotten to the point where I can only write during 3 periods of my day, but I find the time when I get that blush, like I need to write, happens early in the morning. Like it's not afternoon yet. I have a coffee. Usually a coffee is almost vital to writing.
Oh yes.
I don't know why. I don't understand it.
I need a beverage all the time when I'm writing, and
I prefer
most of the
a
time
warm
it's
beverage.
coffee.
Even in the middle of summer, I prefer a warm beverage. I don't understand why my brain connects those two, but it does. But yeah, I have to. My writing space always has to be set up, and preferably, and this is dumb, I like to have a candle going.
Oh, yes.
I don't know
lovely
why.
Atmosphere.
I know. Like I said, I feel stupid saying this out loud, but yeah, right now I have a candle going because I like the atmosphere of it.
I also have a candle going.
There we go. Okay. I don't feel so stupid now.
No, absolutely not. Big candle people. We're big candle people. It's important. Oh, I love candles. I definitely purchase way more candles than are necessary, but you gotta have a candle on hand. You never know when the time will call for the perfect
you
candle.
don't know the time when you need to write and you need a damn candle right away.
Exactly. Yeah. And
it can't be one of the Woodwicks ones because that's distracting.
Yes. I have there is this candle maker. She's actually also an author. She writes horror and she makes
Oh my God, what an amazing idea. You can make a candle that goes with your novel.
Yeah, I don't
This is what my novel smells like. That would be amazing.
I don't think she's done one
Can you imagine that? Like, author, here's my book, and here's the candle that goes with it. It smells like the book.
It's a genius idea. Yeah.
Oh my God, it totally is.
But I will shout her out. Her candle company is called Scent from Hell, scent as in you smell it. And her name is Christy Demeester, and she writes horror, and she's amazing. But she will do candles themed on different horror books and also horror movies. So I have purchased a bunch of these.
Do you have a shining candle?
No, actually, I don't know if she has one. She has so many different ones. I'm trying to think of the ones I have. I have a couple inspired by The Witch. I wonder what a shining candle would
smell like.
That's the thing. It's so interesting to see what kind of scents she puts in.
Old, musty 70s carpet. And
right? Maybe some
fur.
Wood. Yeah. Some pines since they're up in the mountains.
I think we're getting the same idea. How do you get the scent of blood in a candle, though?
Oh, that's a... Well,
it's like coppery
like a
smell.
Copper, yeah. Probably
we should explore this idea.
Yeah.
Another business venture between Deb and Jocelyn.
I know, right? Perfecting the scent of blood in candles. We're
oh
geniuses.
My God.
Well, I have another question for you, actually. And this might be like a curveball, might be hard to think of, but can you think of a weirdest place that you have been hit with inspiration for a new project? Did you have any like weird experiences?
I can think of probably like half a dozen that happened in college.
Ooh, cool.
Like specifically, like I was in an apartment with 2 roommates, one of who I had a really good relationship with, and the other one was like slowly souring relationship. Like it started out really good, and then by the end of the year, we both hated her.
Oh, yeah. That would happen.
It was terrible because they were such a good friend. But I can remember I was going to a laundromat, like off-campus laundromat, like in the middle, like just grimy, kind of awful laundromat. And I'm walking there. I'm like, I just got an idea about these crows. I should write this down. So I didn't go to the laundromat. I went to the park instead with my dirty laundry. sat down on a bench and wrote out this little
That's
like
amazing.
4 or 5 paragraphs about these crows.
I love that. I love that. The image of you just sitting there with your dirty laundry, like frantically writing. That's incredible. That's better than mine.
What's yours?
The weirdest place I came up with an idea for a story was at a baby shower. And that's not entirely strange, but the story idea I had was kind of strange, where it involved a demon baby, and the demon baby.
I'm trying to remember now if you came to my baby shower.
Did I go to your baby? It wasn't yours. It was
okay.
It was my cousin's. Had nothing. Sorry, Trish. Has nothing to do with your beautiful children, Patricia. But it hit me that like, it'd be interesting to be invited to your cousin's baby shower, and then it turns out your cousin is actually like birthing the spawn of Satan and wants to use you as the human sacrifice.
Oh my goodness!
This ritual, and it was a horror comedy idea, and I have worked on that idea for a long time, and I'm still working on it. Nobody take it. But I was like, it was so weird because it was such a lovely, normal baby shower, and like there's nothing really like dark, this like messed up idea. Yeah. Which is just how my brain works, I guess.
Yeah, that is totally how your brain works. I can totally call that from here. That is how your brain works.
Yeah. Do you have any advice for anyone starting new projects? Like anything that you've learned over the years?
Well, it depends on what we're talking about, starting new projects. Are we talking about the plot bunny stage where you have lots of other ideas? Or are you talking about seriously sitting down and starting a new project? We have to define that.
That's good. I mean, whatever.
The way I think of it is like,
either.
Is it a romantic fling or is it a long-term relationship? Because the plot bunnies or the flings, I mean, you know, it's like what everybody would say about like a new romance, like you're obsessed with it. That's what it is. It's obsession. You think about it. That's all you can think about. That's all you want to work on.
Yeah.
But eventually that fades away.
Yes.
And then you have to decide, like, am I going to still work on this? And then the question is, how do you convince yourself to work on this?
Yes. I'm glad you brought that up, because at some point it does have to transition from those excited feelings to
a job.
Discipline. Yeah. You have to actually sit down and write a certain amount and kind of force yourself sometimes. No matter how much
you don't want to do it. I mean,
exactly.
You still love your story. Yeah. But you have to work at it.
Exactly.
And it's not always fun.
No. Sometimes it's really awful, actually. And you have to like find those ways to stay motivated or stay excited. And like we've already mentioned this. We're on episode 2. We've already mentioned this. I make playlists.
It's episode 1 and 2, Jocelyn.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. 102. Yes.
We're doing it college style. It's 102.
We are. We're being official. But yeah, like you find little ways to remind yourself why you're excited about it. And you just, that's something you learn with time, I guess.
Yeah. And to be a little corny here, it is like a good long-term relationship. You do still have to be excited about it, at least a little bit. And you still have to like it, even long-term.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. Yeah, for all of its faults and for all of the hell it puts you through.
Right. I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm working on my 3. I feel like I keep saying I'm working on 3. I work in a cycle. When I get bored of one, I move on to the other one. So I guess I have 3 long-term relationships going right now. 4 if you count my husband. But I've gotten to the point where sometimes it's hard to start a new story because I like my story. And sometimes it feels dumb, but the reason I started the stories I started is because I couldn't find the story that I wanted to read, so I decided to write it. That sounds totally cliche, but like I was jonesing to read this type of story and I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And then I got this idea in my head about what the story would be, and that's how it plays out. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that I've heard that advice before. I've heard like very famous authors say versions of that, and it might sound corny, but it's 100% true, you know? Like if there's something out there that you want to see, if you think there's something missing, go for it. You know, maybe you're the person who's supposed to write that, and you're the one, if it's something you want to see, you're the one who knows how to do it best. And I think that's a really valid kind of bit of inspiration for folks thinking about starting a new project. And also, this is also kind of like maybe corny, or it's an old adage, but write what you know is something that I have come to embrace a lot more with age and experience and distance from writing. It really is something that I have learned to, I don't know, put my own spin on, because it works, and I feel like the current project that I'm working on right now, it takes a little bit from both of those things. It's something I have never really seen before, and it's something that I know pretty deeply. At least the setting it's inspired by, I know very deeply and is very important to me. And so I'm taking those things and putting them together, those two kind of bits of wisdom, and it's working really well for me. So
Good.
People are like trying to
find
think about
something that
starting a
works.
project. Yeah, exactly. And it's really like refreshing, because when I was younger, I was really inspired by other media that I was consuming, which is not a bad thing. And we've mentioned the power of fan fiction and how important that's been for writing.
I still read fan fiction.
Yeah, and that's very important, and everybody should have fun with fan fiction. But I was trying to mimic other people's writing, and I was trying to chase trends, because this is something that happens. Like I've mentioned, I went to film school, and this is something that happened in film school, like something that was kind of like put into our brains, and that was horrible for me. It was horrible for my writing. It stunted everything, and it didn't allow my own voice to come through. I wasn't able to even figure out what my voice was. And every new project I started felt tired immediately, because it was just a carbon copy of something that had already happened. So yeah, I mean, I feel like those old adages that people say all the time, they sound hokey, but they're real. They work.
Yeah, I totally agree about getting wrapped up and then finding your own voice. It's super important.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Speaking of finding our own voices, we do need to start wrapping this up and give our weekly recommendations.
Yay!
So I'm going to go first this week.
Go for it.
My recommendation this week is one that I read fairly recently, and actually it reminds me of what you were saying about you getting wrapped up in losing your voice and trying to mimic other people's voices. I read this book, and I noticed my writing voice shifted, and I actually had to take a break from reading the book and writing to get it back. I know. Wow. It was such a good book. Like, this is another book that I just kind of think about. It's A Memory Called Empire. Is Arcady Martin. Martine? I think it actually might be Martine. I might have mispronounced that. Really excellent. It's sci-fi. It's, I think, the start of a trilogy. I think the second book might be out now, or it's coming out very soon. Totally engrossing. Like, it was sci-fi in a way that I hadn't read it before. It put a different spin on it. It's about basically like a sci-fi kind of bumpkin from the space station going to this very vast empire and being the ambassador to that vast empire. And it's about the clash of cultures and how this character somehow sparked something within this old, it's called A Memory Called Empire. Like, the empire is so old, it just remembers being an empire, I guess. But really, really, really good. I 1000% recommend it. Like I said, it was so good, it altered my writing style.
That's amazing. I'm so excited. I'm going to look for this in my library and check it out. It sounds really good.
It was really good. All right, so what do you got?
My recommendation is also one I read recently. It actually came out recently, I think, in April of 2020. It's called Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. Has a very intense title. Goddess of Filth is very intense. But the title is actually the English translation of the name of an Aztec goddess that is a character in this book. Okay. So this book is a combination of The Exorcist and The Craft. So it's really interesting. It is a possession story told from the perspective of these Chicana teens who are graduating high school, thinking about the future, not really sure what is in store for them. And it's like this tight-knit group of young women. And one of them gets possessed by an ancient Aztec goddess.
The Goddess of Filth?
The Goddess of Filth. I'm not going to try and pronounce her Nahuatl name because it is difficult.
Okay.
But V. Castro, I really love her writing. I've read a couple of her things. She primarily is a horror author, and she herself is Chicana, and she really writes from that perspective. That is very important to her in her writing, and it is
absolutely
awesome
right
to
what
read.
you know.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And sense of place is very important for her too. This takes place in Texas, and just the level of control that V. Castro has with her writing, she is just able to just work the smallest things and change character and influence scenes just like at the drop of a dime. It's really incredible. Her writing is a true pleasure. And this book felt really empowering because it's really about justice for people's whose voices aren't heard, and especially for young Chicana women. And it just that came through so strongly in her writing. So that felt very inspiring to read as not just a lover of horror and a lover of reading, but also a writer. I really found inspiration in that.
Wow. I have to step up my recommendation game. Your recommendations are so much better. They're so more in depth. I'm like, this was a cool sci-fi book.
I think a lot about some of these books. So
I just think about something that I loved and I want somebody else to read, which is
absolutely.
Basically all I put into it is, I love this book. Like, I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
Except when I had
you
to.
Hooked me. Yeah.
Well, there,
right, exactly.
I got one more. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so as usual, we're going to put all our notes and examples in the show notes in case you're interested in anything we mentioned. These books, this awesome book recommendation that Jocelyn just did. All the books we're going to link. As usual, you can find us on readandwritepodcast.com or on all the social networks. Same name. And that's it for this week. Catch us next week when we're going to talk about
books that became more.
Ooh, sounds so exciting. Until then, stay safe.
Keep reading.
Keep writing.
And go do what you do best.
Okay.